Today, we're digging into the story of a legendary battle, the revolutionary play it inspired, and a really powerful warning hidden right inside it. And believe me, this message about power, pride, and its consequences, it's from 2,500 years ago, but it feels like it could have been written yesterday.
Just listen to that line. It's from a modern version of a very old play. But that feeling, it's timeless, right? It just perfectly captures the ache of losing someone in a war. That feeling of someone being gone, but also everywhere. Now, this is a story about grief, but what's so shocking is whose grief we're being asked to feel.
And that's the central mystery here. The play this comes from, Persians, was written to celebrate a massive military victory for Athens. So why on earth would the playwright make his own people, the winners, sit there and feel the pain of the very enemy they just defeated? Why tell the story of your greatest win through the eyes of the loser? To figure that out, we've got to start with the play itself. Because this wasn't just some story. For its time, it was a huge cultural event and a totally radical piece of theater. You know, the guy who wrote this, Aeschylus, he wasn't just imagining what war was like. He was a veteran. He fought in one major battle, and then he fought in the very battle this play is about. So just 8 years later, when Persians comes out and wins the top prize, the audience knew. The man who wrote these words, he had been there. He saw it all.
I mean, you gotta understand just how groundbreaking this was. It's the oldest complete play we have, and it's the only one we know of that's about current events, not old myths. But the wildest choice of all, the entire thing is set in Persia. The main character is the Persian queen. The whole story is told from the enemy's perspective. Imagine being in that audience in Athens. The shock must have been incredible.
So to really get the play, you have to get the real-life drama that sparked it. And it all boils down to two absolutely unforgettable people and one catastrophic decision. And the stakes, they could not have been higher. Just look at this map. On one side, you've got the Persian Empire, a total superpower that stretched across 3 continents. And on the other, a few little Greek city-states holding out. This was a true David and Goliath situation. And for the Persian king, Xerxes, this invasion wasn't just business, it was personal. His whole reputation was on the line. So our two main characters here couldn't be more different. You've got Xerxes, the absolute ruler of pretty much the known world, leading this massive invasion. And then you've got Artemisia. She's the queen of a small allied kingdom. But she was so much more than just an ally. Get this, she was also the only female commander in the entire Persian navy. She was personally leading her own ships into battle. She was the absolute wild card in this whole conflict. So, right before the battle, Xerxes holds a council of war. All his male commanders are like, yeah, attack, let's go. Only Artemisia says, hold on a minute. She basically tells him, look, the Greeks are better at sea than we are. It's a huge risk, our army is crushing it on land. Why gamble everything here? And this is the moment everything turns. Xerxes actually praises her for her brilliant advice. He agrees with her, but he ignores it. And why? Pure ego. He thought his men didn't fight hard enough if he wasn't watching, so he literally had a throne built on a hillside so he could watch the whole thing. He didn't just want to win, he wanted a show. So the battle was on, and it was going to be decided by a revolutionary piece of military tech that gave the smaller Greek fleet a very, very deadly advantage. Say hello to the Olympias. This is a modern reconstruction of the Greeks' ultimate weapon, the trireme. You can think of it like a guided missile made of wood, powered by 170 rowers. But with no ancient ones left to study, how in the world did we figure out what they looked like?
Well, the first clue came from art and archaeology. Paintings on vases gave us the general shape. And this is a real 2,000-year-old bronze ram pulled up from the seabed. It's a half-ton of solid bronze, and it confirms exactly what this ship was for, punching holes in other ships.
The second clue was some serious detective work. Archaeologists found the foundations of the sheds where these ships were kept. By measuring the space between the columns, they could figure out the exact maximum size of the ships inside. That's what led to these incredibly detailed drawings. Okay, so back to the battle. The massive Persian fleet piles into this narrow channel of water, and just like Artemisia had warned, it was a disaster. The bigger, clumsier Persian ships were sitting ducks for the quick little Greek triremes. Total chaos. And right in the middle of it all, Artemisia is in a terrible spot. A Greek ship is chasing her down, and she's trapped by her own side ships in front.
So what does she do? Something absolutely ruthless and brilliant. She turns and rams one of her own allied ships, sinking it in an instant. The Greek captain sees this, assumes she must be on their side or has just switched, and he calls off the chase.
And up on his throne, Xerxes sees the whole thing, but he gets it completely wrong. He thinks she just sank an enemy ship. He's amazed. While his male commanders are failing, this woman is fighting like a lion. And that's when he says his famous line, "My men have become women, and my women men." He's literally praising her for betraying his own forces.
The Persians lost the battle, badly, and Xerxes retreated in total disgrace. And this brings us right back to our playwright, Aeschylus. Why, at his moment of triumph, would he tell this story of defeat? Why focus on the grief of the Persian queen and the humiliation of her son, the king? Well, the answer comes down to one powerful Greek idea: hubris. You've probably heard the word. It's that toxic mix of pride and arrogance that makes powerful people think they're invincible, that the rules just don't apply to them. A king ignoring brilliant advice because he wants a better view of the battle, that is the definition of hubris. And this is the absolute genius of the play. Aeschylus wasn't writing a victory lap. Persians was a warning sign, and it was aimed squarely at his own people, the Athenians. After their big win, Athens was becoming a powerful empire itself, and Aeschylus, the old soldier, saw a dangerous pattern starting to form. He was basically using the Persians as a giant mirror. By forcing the Athenians to feel the queen's nightmares, to hear the terrible news of the defeat, to see their great enemy king come home in rags, he was showing them that suffering is universal and that arrogance will destroy you. The message was crystal clear. Look what hubris did to them. Don't let it happen to us.
So, what does this all leave us with? 2,500 years ago, a playwright who was also a war hero put a radical idea on stage that the only way to really understand your victory is to feel your enemy's defeat. It makes you wonder, right? Maybe the most important lessons we learn from winning are actually hidden in the loser's story.